Lieutenant Colonel in the Reserves, Jonathan Conricus, it feels like a new type of trajectory in the war. Your assessment right now on what has happened overnight, specifically in the Gaza Strip, and what this means for the war as we speak.
So I think that we are heading towards a fork in the road where it will become clear, based on Hamas's decision, where we go from here. The small chance, I think, which probably most of us are hoping for at this stage, is that Hamas understands the severity of the situation and decides to stop stalling and stop actually goes back to the negotiating table and agrees to release hostages. That's the intended outcome of the Israeli strike. If Hamas persists in its refusal to release hostages, then the other road in that fork is to go back to fighting, but a different part of fighting. And we've heard lots of belligerent statements made by Israeli officials on what type of war it will be, how violent, and what kind of results Hamas will suffer. And I think we can expect it to be different than what we've seen or what we saw during the first year and a half of the fighting. That's where we are now. I wouldn't say that we have quite reached decision point yet, and it's still open. I wish that the bombing campaign and the strikes on Hamas will have that effect. There were some important people that were taken out, basically part of the government of Hamas that governs and continues to oppress the Gaza Strip. But was it enough to force Hamas to climb down of that tree that they've climbed up on? Most importantly, missing of the conversation is Egypt. Everything here, I think, lies on what Egypt will do, because if Egypt will continue to provide Hamas with the military, diplomatic and political backing that it has been providing Hamas over the war, and Hamas knows that Egypt isn't going to open the Rafah corridor and that all of the Gazans will continue to be stuck in Gaza, then Hamas knows that fighting inside the Gaza Strip will be extremely difficult for Israel to really achieve a decisive outcome. And as such, they'll play for time, knowing that they have hostages in their hand and knowing that every day that goes by is better for Hamas than it is for the hostages and for Israel. So the key here is US, Israel and Egypt, and then that triangle, how that influences Hamas, and if Hamas can be coerced to release hostages.